Okay, great. So welcome everybody. We are having our first Lunch and Learn virtual. I'm so glad that everybody got their lunch that ordered one. Sam and I would be eating with you, but we're going to talk a lot, so we'll probably eat at the end. But we wanted to kind of feel like communal, even though we're virtual. So I'm really happy this worked out. We are doing our first series. My name is Shannon Shue. I'm a real estate agent with Keller Williams. I just graduated to the top 1% of Keller Williams agents across the nation based on 2020's results. I own 9 units in Los Angeles and 1 in Colorado. I love Vietnamese spring rolls, so maybe we'll have that one day. And my vision for the world is to create connection and vulnerability. Samantha, introduce yourself.
Hi guys, I'm Samantha Shue. I work with Movement Mortgage. I'm a loan officer here in California, in Los Angeles, really. I just sold my first home and bought a new house this year, so that's really exciting. First time I've done that. And I have 2 little girls who are in school right now, which is awesome. Super happy they're there in person. And my vision for the world is always just positivity and gratitude. So we're super grateful to see you all, and thank you for sharing your faces so we can see real humans. It means a lot right now. We'll go ahead and get started. So if you guys haven't been on one of these before, we always like to start with going around the room. If you want to go to the next slide, Shannon. Oh, wait, we'll talk about your agenda first, and then we'll go around. So today we're going to speak about like what the heck happened this year in real estate, right? In 2020. And for those of you who don't have your finger on the market, like Shannon and I do, we'll share with you what's happened and what's actually happening specifically in the rental market here in LA. A lot of times Shannon and I speak on these calls about investing in real estate so that you buy a place maybe that has a second unit or an accessory dwelling unit, like a granny unit, to rent out, or renting out a room within your house, so that you're constantly investing and paying yourself back for your investment. So we're going to talk about, if you were to buy a place and rent it out, what does that rental market look like right now? What's happening? And then at the end, I'll speak about how do you even buy a place if you were looking into buying units or buying a place and house hacking it, renting out one of those rooms. So Shannon, do you want to go around the room now?
Yeah. We'd love to get to know each of you a little bit better, and we like to keep these relatively small, under a dozen people. So if you don't mind unmuting yourself, and we'll go around the room. I'll call on you, and just let us know your name, what you do for work, and what you really want to learn when it comes to investing in real estate. Big, broad, vague, specific, let us know. We're very interested in that. So let's go around the room. Let's go with, well, Marcus, you're a meeting, so why don't you guys both introduce yourself?
Hi guys, so my name is Marcus. That's my wife Phoebe. She's gonna listen in as well. I was always interested in learning more about the investing portion. I'm an architect, and I don't know, I think COVID made me realize that I need to shift also some of my time and resources more into kind of becoming independent and learning about these things. That's why I really appreciate what you guys are doing, and Phoebe and I are kind of very interested to learn.
Fantastic. Good to see you, Phoebe. Phoebe, do you want to say something about, do you want to introduce yourself, or you just want to be a fly on the wall?
Hi everyone, I'm Phoebe. I'm Marcus's wife, like he said. I'm an attorney, and just happy to be here, and I'll be a fly on the wall. I'm gonna step out. I just wanted to say hi to you, Shannon. Hi. And hi to everyone else.
Great, thank you. Ruben.
Hello, my name is Ruben. I am a marketing manager. I work as a marketing manager at a healthcare company. And what I would like to learn today, or learn more about, is just kind of get a feel for what you guys think next year looks like. My situation is I have a condo in a nice area, a nice part of town, and I'm torn between, should I keep it and rent it and then look for something else to buy later on in the year, or should I sell it and then see, like, maybe sit on, what I make off of it, or just immediately flip it into property. I'm kind of interested to hear your perspective, Shannon, because I have other owners in the building who rent, and honestly, some of what they go through makes me think that maybe I'm not cut out for that. But it also means it could just be like extreme cases. But anyway, that's big picture. That's kind of what I'm tuning in for today.
Fantastic, Ruben. Well, we'll cover some big picture items, and then we can always regroup after. Farhan?
Hey everyone, my name is Farhan. I work as a finance and strategy analyst at Ring. So they're the company that makes security cameras, video doorbells, which you might see around, and all that jazz. And just tuning in on the call today because I've been in LA for about 1.5 years now, and I'm kind of on a more limited timeline, so I might be here for maybe 2 or 3 more years. So just trying to understand, with a timeline in my head, which is more or less set in stone, if it makes sense to invest in property, and if I do, like, what are the ways to navigate that if I do have to leave and stuff.
Awesome. All right, Farhan. We would definitely cover some big picture things on that too. And 3 years is a shorter trajectory, but yeah, we can touch on that. Lauren.
Hi, my name is Lauren. I'm a property manager, actually commercial, for a real estate developer here in LA. And to be honest with you, I'm getting older, and I'm trying to look at quality of life right now. So I'm looking at trying to invest to see what I can do with my money. So I can't bank on my 401k, and I'm not trying to bank on Social Security because there probably won't be any. So I'm looking long term.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, I love it. It's all, real estate is nothing but a long-term play. So as you probably know, Trey.
Hi guys, my name is Trey Alligood, and I'm an agent as well. And I met Shannon. I showed a buyer one of her properties, and I just loved the way she worked. And I just kind of follow her throughout. I've known Samantha since I started. I've only been an agent for 1 year, and I just always love to hear other agents and loan officers like Samantha, their perspective on what's going on and what we have to look to for the future.
Fantastic, Trey. Thank you. Max and Gina.
Hi, I'm Max. My wife, Gina. I'm an owner of an in-home senior care agency. Gina does marketing at Mattel. We just bought a home last year, so we're just kind of interested in where the market is going and kind of investment opportunities for what's in the future.
Fantastic. Oh, and I love, and who's the little one?
This is Jet. She's just under 7 months.
Oh, hi.
He's learning very early. It's good.
Yes, yes.
Learning investing very early. I wish I would have learned at that age. All right, Mindy.
Hi, I'm Mindy, and I'm a marriage and family therapist. I'm in my office in Torrance right now. And well, I guess my main thoughts lately about investing is whether to invest in real estate or invest in the stock market. Guess maybe I'll do both. I don't know, but I guess that's kind of, I haven't made up my mind yet. I haven't really decided, but I think that's my general place where I'm at right now.
All right. Okay, great, Mindy. David, I think you're rounding out you're our last person.
Oh, great. Yep. Sorry, I had a meeting that ran long, so I was off video for the whole time. I'm calling. So hi, I'm David. I'm actually calling in from San Jose, California. So I actually met Shannon at one of her open houses. I want to say about 3 years ago, and I just kind of stayed on the mailing list, and it's been my interest to, well, and partially due to the pandemic. And I want to see if there's a way to kind of invest back to LA, as I was there for a number of years prior to moving up to the Bay Area. Let's see. I work with one of these tech companies, and software engineer. Let's see. And today I'm hoping to get more insight on the LA market, and certainly outlook to the next year insofar as rental income and such. As my goal is looking to invest in a multi family property, really start with the duplex and maybe see if I can house hack it. I mean, it's remote, but there are chances where I might be able to move around. So looking into that.
All right, great. Well, thank you for all introducing yourself. Sam, do you want me to take this one?
I think you should, and I keep going on mute because I have roofers, so it's a little loud, but I'll talk and I'll go off mute after this.
Okay. So the 2020 housing market perspective. So we're probably going to be in about a 2-year economic recovery from the pandemic in about 2 years. So instead of seeing what many of us may have experienced in 2008 and 2009, which was a sheer drop, we are not experiencing such a sheer drop. And there's lots of different reasons for that. We know that unemployment is continuing to, it spiked up in spring. It started to come down lightly in the fall. But I think that everyone's pretty excited that consumer confidence through the holidays is looking so good. However, and there's a K graph later on you're going to see, I really do think that we're starting to get into two markets. The markets that are doing well and they are continuing to go up, like healthcare, real estate, and then the restaurant industry, gyms, hair salons, like all these smaller businesses are continuing to suffer. And so when you have this like K graph, which it's really gonna, at some point you have to have a day of reckoning. We cannot continue to move in two different directions. And then I think all boats have to rise or fall, and we will fall. So, but it will be a slow process, and that economic recovery will also take time. So yeah, here's the K graph. And so yeah, as you can see, when industries are not directly impacted by COVID, they're very robust. And then if you are directly impacted by COVID, you are either losing your job, you are furloughed, or you're reduced hours. And so there's a lot of people that will continue to struggle. So that's how I see where the recovery is and where the industries are today. Just a quick touch though on real estate in general. Despite the fact that unemployment is high, despite the fact that large industries don't have everyone employed, there are still a lot of people with money and they're home and they can't travel, and so they're saving more than they've ever saved before. And people with good jobs continue to keep their good jobs. And because of that, excuse me, whoops. Los Angeles, we don't have enough inventory to meet the demand of the buyers that we have. And because of that, real estate continues to go up. We just we don't have enough on the shelves to buy. And so the prices continue to crank up. The interest rates are low. Samantha will touch on interest rates a little bit later. But right now, in real estate, there's no indication that we are even going to have I thought we would go flat in 2020 with the pandemic and maybe go flat into 2021. We're actually still continuing to tick up across the board. However, if you look at specific categories, for example, the 7-figure condo market in Los Angeles, crickets. People don't want a condo. They want outdoor space. So they're willing to trade out their condo and buy a home. they'll go to the valley. Many people want a pool. They're going to sections and suburbs of Los Angeles so they can have a pool because their kids are bored. So keep that in mind. And then you can see across the board other large cities in the United States are having the same issue with inventory. There just isn't enough inventory to buy, and plenty of buyers want a home.
So the reason why, Shannon,
Oops.
This graph I think is a little confusing because it shows that sales are down 24%, but that's not because people aren't buying. It's because there's just no inventory.
Yeah. Yeah. So everything, yeah, we're in the negative on the inventory. Like we don't have enough.
Right. Right. And so for those of you who are in LA and or all of you are pretty much either from LA or have an investment here, the market it here, Shannon, that you've seen, I think you're a little bit closer to the numbers than I have been, but I think the purchase market is probably up this year over last.
Correct. This graph shows it as 3.1% up over through 2020.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely the average across the board. So that average is like, I used 7-figure condos as an example, like that they're just sitting. But, you know, $850,000 homes in the valley with a pool can't keep them on, there's enough of them to sell. And then anything with yard and space, it's selling very quickly.
Right. So there's still multiple buyers looking to purchase the same property because there's so little inventory. I work with tons of buyers who are trying to get their offer accepted, but they just keep getting bought. They just keep getting bid up. And they're like, well, I don't want to pay over this for this house, right? It's like, that's my limit. That's all I'm pre-approved for, or this house isn't worth that much, right? So it's a very tricky market where everybody a year ago when we were teaching these classes, Shannon, were like, oh, when's the bubble gonna burst? Oh, when's the house prices are gonna fall? And that's when I'll buy, right? It's even in a pandemic, house prices are not falling.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we still have a lot of people with good jobs, saved up some money, want to trade out. They want to trade, like Ruben, trading condo for potentially something else to invest in, or just looking at their options. Everyone wants to kind of figure out their options. We want to see where we can reposition. So those people that are in the market are looking to reposition. So, all right, Sam.
Okay, great.
Or this is you, sorry.
This is me, I'll be happy to go through this. So what's happening in the rental market right now? So the challenges are renters are moving out. I know a lot of millennials who have moved out and are moving in with their parents in a house because it's just, you know, for various reasons that you all know. And many, likely the economists are saying many of those millennials will end up buying a house in 2021 or 2022, which is going to put even more buyers out there trying to find the same house with so little inventory. Also, if you're a landlord, you might have skipped rent payments, right, from your tenants. And then what's going to happen for 2021? Is that going to continue? Is that going to be allowed? Then there's the opportunity where so many people are moving out of their apartments. So that's actually pushing rental prices down. So it's interesting. Home prices are going up, yet rentals are going down. And then obviously interest rates are so low. And yesterday the Fed announced they're going to continue to keep it low. And historically, after every recession we've ever had, now what we're going through is, you know, unprecedented, so we're not really sure, but after every recession that we've ever seen, interest rates always go down. So we presume interest rates may go even lower than where they're at right now. And right now they're, you know, in the 2s. So we'll see what happens. And, you know, we could talk eventually one day about negative interest rates and what that all means, but it's just crazy. So renters are moving out. Landlords are probably giving up their places, right, Shannon? Or are they thinking about giving up are there more listings for multi-units right now or no?
So yeah, in the multi-unit market, there are more properties on market right now. If there are no vacancies in a triplex, for example, it's got to be top rents or else you're gonna take a discount. So meaning top rents, like an investor wants to be sure that the tenants are all paying market rents. If they're paying $19.99 rent or $2005 rent, which means that they're probably at least 20 to 40% below today's market for a property. That's too low, and that's not worth it. And what they want is a big discount. I want a big discount. I don't want to inherit tenants that haven't had a rent raise in over 2 years. I mean, 5 years is too long for me. That means that the landlord hasn't taken good care of the place. They're like, well, I helped my tenants out so much during the times that were good, and now the times are tough. You're going to still help your tenants out. It's tough for me to see the upside potential unless it comes off in the price. And a lot of the landlords want to experience what the single family market is experiencing, this like firestorm of everybody wants one. They're like, well, all my boat should rise if all the boats of the single family market are rising in this metaphorical port. Then yes, I want these higher prices, but they're not getting it. So that's another area. It's very categorical for Los Angeles. That category of multi-unit is slowing down. Also, lending on multi-units is getting a little tighter. So we don't have as many of these lower down payment programs. I got a great low down payment program about 2 years ago for a fourplex. They're not around. We're at 20, 25% down. So in addition to the fact that you may be inheriting low paying tenants or no paying tenants, no vacancy, in addition, you will also potentially have to put more down on a property. So everybody wants to take advantage of low interest rates. However, we also don't want to, I personally don't like to put a lot down. I want to put a little down and then buy another one and put a little down there and keep doing that over and over again. Also, for me as a landlord right now, I have a vacancy. I've had a vacancy for 2.5 months because every tenant application I've been seeing, I've been unimpressed by. One of the 3 roommates is unemployed. I'm like, I don't really want that person. Or they want to put 8 people in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And I was like, 8 people seems a lot. I think I'm going to choose to pass, despite the fact that the 5 adults make way more than the rent, like quadruple the amount of rent. I was like, but it's so many people. So, okay. Next slide. Oh, this is the one I added Samantha, or well, I'll talk about this one. So really quick, when we look in the year in review, 2020, we have the election. And so I'm going to talk about one particular thing that passed, Proposition 19's impacts on real estate. So there are 2 main components, and propositions I always say are kind of squirrely. Like they also group too much in, like too many activities, too many policy changes in one. So this is one, when you inherit a property, parent to child, or grandparent to grandchild, homes will be reassessed if the child or grandchild keeps them. So that means that we used to be able to keep our tax base. Like if your parents bought a home in 1960, you inherited their tax base from 1960 is very low. But now the reassessment will happen upon inheritance, which means if you don't sell it, you keep it, you will get reassessed for the value of that property at today's market. The other thing is if you're 55 years or older, and you want to, so this happens a lot. People want to retire in Los Angeles. They have a lot of equity in their home. They bought their home 27 years ago, but they don't want to continue to live in LA. So they'll move to another county. And so now California has a reciprocating county. You can keep your tax base from Los Angeles County, and you can move to Fresno County, which is much less expensive, for example. And then you inherit, you keep that tax amount. You don't go up, even though you may buy a home that was more than what you bought it 27 years ago. So we'll have time at the end for questions if this was too quick. Sam, do you want to talk about 19?
I was speaking to a friend of mine who owns a lot of property, and his plan is to then give it to his children when he passes. And when he found out that this proposition passed about the taxes changing for inheriting properties, he was like, that screws up my whole plan. Like, why would I want to go and give this huge tax bill to my kids when I pass? So yes, you're still getting the equity in the property and all of that. It's interesting to think about what's going to be the effect of this proposition passing. So is that going to mean like people like my friend are going to maybe start listing their places because they're like, oh, forget it. This is no longer a good investment for my kids. I'll take the money now, sell it, take the money now and give it to them or hold on to it. And then they could take the money when I pass. So it'll be interesting to see if that affects inventory at all.
Yeah, this is my hunch. I'll just tell you my hunch. My hunch is if you were already thinking about selling it and you were already like, well, I thought about maybe giving it to my kids or maybe I'll just sell it and then I'll be liquid and then my kids can just have the liquid I live off of. If you were thinking about it, this is probably going to potentially push you to say yes. If you're younger, let's say you're like 50 and you're like, I don't think I'm ready to sell it. I haven't kind of reaped all my benefits. I'm still a little far from retirement. You might sit tight with it and kind of continue to cash flow and then sort of put off the decision till you're 65 or 70 when you're like, I certainly don't want to manage it anymore. And my kids don't have any interest in it. Now I'll have to deal with it. So things to think about when it comes to that. Just a hunch.
Quick question on the tax basis. Are we talking about property taxes? And does this have anything to do with the cost basis for calculating capital gains?
It's just your tax base. So you keep, it doesn't include the capital gains on if you're 55 and older, unlike the reassessment if you inherit property. So there's no additional assessment on the tax on the capital gains. If you're 55 and older and you move to you usually are moving to a less expensive county. You don't usually move to a more expensive county. But it can work if you move to a more expensive county. Los Angeles to Santa Barbara, that's more expensive. So you would then be able to save money because you can keep a lower tax base. Did that answer your question, David?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Sam,
Okay, so how does this affect the mortgage industry? So this year, 90% of Americans are eligible for refinances. Now, in classes pre-COVID, Shannon and I, would always ask the question, so when are values going to drop out? And our answer was always, well, ever since 2010, the mortgage industry has been a lot more, has had a lot more requirements to qualify for a loan. So that made it so that when people bought a house post 2010, we had to make sure that all of their income was verified, all of their assets were verified. Before it was just you state your income, you state your assets. Back in 2001 when I started, and you got the loan. It was called a fast and easy. Literally, it was fast and so easy, and everybody got homes. A lot of people did 100% financing, and they got into trouble because when the bubble burst and they owed more perhaps than the house was actually worth, that's when everything started to fall apart. So even though that was the last recession, that doesn't mean that housing markets always create a recession. And as you can see here, the housing market is actually propping us a lot of the economy up right now. And with refinances, with rates dropping so much, almost everybody that you know is probably refinanced, or you should tell them that they should. Mortgage applications are up 300% year over year, which is absolutely incredible. It's been a bananas year for me. What I would say is if you're looking to purchase a house right now or this year in 2021, just make sure you're checking with your bank, or if you're going to work with me, we have to check to see how long it's going to take to close your loan, because when you're making an offer to a seller, the seller really wants you to be cash. Sellers want their cash and they want to move on from that house as fast as possible, as you would if you were a seller. So when I speak to buyers looking to get pre-approved, looking to make an offer on a house, a lot of times the interest rate is the one thing that they look for in order to go with one bank over another. But a lot of times, if you're looking for the cheapest rate, you may be waiting in a really long line, especially with the refinances compounding how long it takes to close a loan. So at our company, just a little plug, at Movement, we underwrite our loans first. That's the first thing that we do. And we can close loans usually in about 30 days, maybe even closer to 21 as the new year starts. So that's really going to help buyers look more like cash. And then just yesterday, oops, I put today, but just yesterday, the Fed stated they don't expect to raise interest rates. So that's going to be really good. Rates are going to continue to stay flat or perhaps go down for 2021. Do you want to talk about that that house, Shannon, or no? You're on mute. You are on mute. Hello. Can't hear you.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot I put myself on mute. I forgot. I was like, I don't know if we have enough time to do a comparison.
Oh, okay. I mean, it's 12:30. Just so you guys know, we have this in the slides, and we can share these with you too if you wanted. But Shannon, you want to just say, usually we do an overview of what's better to buy. Is it better to buy a duplex, or is it better to buy a single family?
Yeah, I'll do a quick. It'll be really quick. And if you guys say later, like, that was too quick, Shannon, and we didn't understand the thing you just said, please raise your hand at the end. So I often do this comparison because a lot of people are still figuring out where they want to enter into the market or where they want to trade up from. And I use a condo and a duplex as a good example, because a condo on the west side is probably equal to roughly a duplex somewhere in South LA, mid-city, in those areas. So it's like a nice trade-off. Same with the east. If you're in like Echo Park, Silver Lake, Highland Park, you might want to buy something very nice there, or you come like you go a little bit farther southeast and you can find some like a duplex for the same amount of price, or the same price. So I compared this duplex that I found in Mid-City, 2500 Lucerne. Asking price is $789, but I think it'll sell closer to $760. It's been on the market for over 40 days when I looked at it. 2 bedroom, 2 bath in one unit, 1 bedroom, 1 bath in the other unit. Sorry, excuse me, 1 bedroom, 1 bath each unit. Pardon me. Total square footage is 1,650 square feet. Each unit is 825 square feet. 1 unit is vacant, which is great because I look for units that are vacant. I want to be able to manage and put a tenant in there. Renovated kitchens, bathrooms, and newer floors. So this is a great place to put your money and potentially have a place in Los Angeles as your crash pad or your home while you have the other side pay your mortgage. They're not paying all of your mortgage, or they're paying probably a part of your mortgage. If you compare that to a condo,
I think we're missing the slide.
Yeah, we're missing the condo slide. Huh, okay. Well, okay. So the potential rent on the whole unit right here, I do the analysis here, is $2,100 for the 1 bedroom, 1 bath. The other renter is paying $1,232. I think that's a little low for a 1 bedroom in that area. The upsize is you're walkable to the expo line in the future. That's very important. It's going to be great for getting to and from Santa Monica or downtown. And the only thing is, the downside is that the tenant is paying low rent and it's rent controlled. Yeah. So that's my burrito arrived.
Your lunch arrived. Oh, good. So, anyway, we can always take this a little deeper on our next call. But we really like to compare properties so you could see if maybe you bought a condo in Santa Monica versus a duplex or triplex in Mid-City, what that looks like for you and how that investment would change. Now, like Shannon mentioned, FHA loan. An FHA loan is backed by the Federal Housing Agency. So FHA, it's not necessarily for first-time home buyers, but there are some restrictions, and that's why many times first-time home buyers use this program. And it's because you only need 3.5% as a down payment. So if you learn one thing today, I know a lot of you guys have been on our calls previously, but if hopefully you learned this in the past, if not, you'll learn it today, which is you do not need 20% down to buy a house. You do not need 20% down, right? You only need 3.5, which is a huge difference if you're looking to try to save money. And I know, like Mindy on the call is thinking, well, maybe should I invest in real estate or should I invest in the stock market right now? Well, I'd probably do both. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And you could do a little bit here and a little bit there, especially with an FHA. You could buy this duplex, right? This particular duplex was listed at $789. We're saying the down payment is about $30,000, closing costs about $23,000. So about $51,000 out of pocket. And now you for only $51,000, you have this $789,000 investment, right? So it's a very small amount out of your pocket. I mean, yes, $50,000 is a lot of money. You can get that money gifted to you. If you have a really great aunt or uncle who wants to give that money to you, that's fine. And the payment on it with taxes and insurance and everything is $49.50 a month. Assuming the tenant on the other side could pay you $2,100, you're only paying $28.50 a month, which is great for LA in that cute little Spanish looking duplex. And then you get to reap in all of the appreciation. So just something to keep in mind, that you could be living in LA for less than $3,000 and owning something and becoming a landlord and helping to save, like Lauren was saying, save for your retirement. You already have a built-in tenant there, a built-in source of income for your future. So it's a really great idea to think about it that way.
And this is, of course, FHAs if you plan to own or occupy, and also, you know, if you own other property in Los Angeles, which some of you do, since I know some of you well, this might not be the entry program for you, but this is just a good example. I look for lower down payment programs like this, but a lot of times, you know, I have to own or occupy it. So I'm getting to the place now where I don't want to own or occupy quite as much. So I do have to put a little bit more down.
And then one other thing just for 2021. So every year the loan limits are increased. And for 2021, if you were to buy a duplex at roughly 1.1 million, you could put about 3.5% down and use FHA and use that income from the rental side to help you qualify if you need it. And it's a really great program. So yeah, that purchase price going up for 2021 helps you get into the 1.1 purchase price for a duplex. You can go a little bit higher for a triplex and a quadplex for FHA, but there's other restrictions that make it a little difficult to qualify. So we could talk about that later. Or if you bought a single family house, you could buy a single family house to about $850,000 with just 3.5% down. So what do you do if you wanted to think about buying a house right now? The first thing you do, you have to talk to someone like me, a loan officer. We'll have about a 10 or 15 minute conversation about what you do for work and how much your down payment is. There's also some down payment assistance programs, so you don't even need the 3.5% like FHA. You could use, depending on your income, you might qualify for a special program called CalHFA. You submit your loan application, and then you go ahead and get all of your documents, your income, your assets. We run your credit. I'll look at all of that and give you a pre-approval letter. It's good for 2 months right now with COVID, just because everybody's jobs have been changing so much. We just like to re-verify after 2 months everything. And then I would get you that letter. And right now, even still right now, Shannon, right? Sellers are requiring a pre-approval letter to go see the property.
Many do. Many require it. I don't require it for my listings. I figured, could you really be, is there all your free time spent looking at homes?
Yeah. So it's just something to know, and it's a free thing. You just having a conversation with me can't hurt, right? It's not going to cost you anything, at least get you on a plan to get a pre-approval at some point in your future. So the next thing is just to think about affordability. What can you afford? If you were making, let's say you make $60,000 a year, okay? So that's $5,000 a month. Or in this case, I have the payment for this is $49.50. What you do is you could take that, maybe round it up to 5,000, multiply it times 2. That means that you need to make $10,000 a month to qualify for this house. And it could be 10,000, maybe you make 7,000 a month, or maybe 8,000 a month, and you're assuming the rent is about 2,000. So you maybe qualify for this place. Basically, whatever you make, so if you make 5,000 a month, you can only have a payment of half of that. So 2,500 could be your payment for taxes, insurance, any HOAs if you're buying a condo. So just to keep that in mind, I think a lot of people have no idea what they could qualify for. So that's what you need to do. You just need to take your monthly income, divide it by 2, and so long as you have no other debt, that's how much you'd be able to qualify for. That wraps us up, Shannon.
All right. So